and everything that you should keep on your radar in terms of stocks as well. So Sonal, Mangalam and Vivek all join me now. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. Sonal, let me come across to you first. You know, like we were pointing out earlier as well, it was an absolutely flat close for our markets yesterday. What should we track today?
Well, important cues today, Pavitra. Good morning, because it is the monthly F&O expiry as well. Usually happens on Thursday, but tomorrow is the holiday. So that, of course, is an important cue to watch out for. Nifty has been consolidating between that 17,777 mark and 18,250 range in last couple of trading sessions. So it has been a very range-bound trading sessions in last couple of weeks. India VIX is below 14, which indicates low volatility. And now we have a support at 18,000, but the resistance continues to remain at 18,250. Yesterday as well, the high was 18,201, and from there we actually fell from the highs. Nifty Auto was the top gainer in trade yesterday. It was led by Maruti, which reported good set of numbers. We also had Tata Motors, which was higher yesterday, reports numbers today. So earnings, of course, will continue to be the focus as well. FIIs, they continue to sell in our own markets. Yesterday it was 200 crore rupees. Today it is around 760 crore rupees, and DIIs continue to be buyers as well. They bought around 1144 crore rupees. As far as the global markets are concerned, you were pointing out that US markets were largely mixed. We did see some gains in Dow, but other than that, it was a decline. Microsoft was the one which was in focus, declined in after trading hours due to weak guidance despite good set of numbers. Earnings continue to be the focus in US markets as well, because we have a lot of them coming out this week itself. Asian markets, some of them have opened today. They are largely mixed. China and Hong Kong are shut for a holiday, and SGX Nifty is indicating that the start for our own markets could be, well, in the red today, but it will be important to see the last 1 hour trading moves because it is the expiry as well. As far as the Brent crude prices are concerned, if you are looking at the macros as well, after dipping a little bit, they are back at that $87 per barrel mark. So that is an important cue to watch out for in today's trading session as well.
All right, Sonal, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those cues that we should watch before we get into this trading session. But let's now also talk about the individual names, because it could also be a lot about those, right? We're in the thick of the earnings season, and Vivek has that entire list of stocks for us. Vivek.
Well, absolutely, quite a lot of companies, declared their results post-earnings, post-market as yesterday. So Pidilite is the first one on our radar. Numbers below estimates, below the 18-hour poll. Profitability coming in at close to 307 crore versus our own poll of around 387 crore. Margins too, quite a big miss, 16.5% versus our poll of close to 18.4%. Coming to United Spirits, again, it's been a bit of a disappointment, not entirely comparable on a year-on-year basis. Most of the, pricing-led recovery was in the prestige and above segment. However, when you're talking about the core numbers, EBITDA was a miss, coming in at close to 370 crore versus our poll of a little over 404 crore. Profitability, it was marred by a one-off expense of almost 148 crore due to the supply agility program. TVS Motors, this particular company, broadly inline set of numbers compared to our own poll. Profitability of close to 350 crore versus our poll of close to 357 crore. Moving on, Indus Tower, this particular company will remain in focus. Expect quite a bit of weakness over here. The company for the first time has declared a net loss of over 700 crore, and the company has made a doubtful debt provision of close to 2,300 crore against receivables of one of the telcos. Macro tech developers, some important takeaways. While profitability was up 6%, Sonal has pointed out that the company, while exceeding the pre-sales guidance, is likely to have not ahead and met its debt reduction guidance. Lakshmi Organics, again, sequential improvement, but on a year-on-year basis, the numbers look quite weak. Tatwa Chintan Pharma, again, the story remains the same. On a sequential basis, helped by a lower base, the numbers have recovered. Year-on-year continues to remain quite weak. Nazara Technologies, quite a strong set of numbers this time around. Profitability up 76%, and a few news pegs as well in terms of Bharti Airtel raising rates, Barbecue Nation, some CFO resignation, and RVNL bagging another whole host of numbers that will be declared today. Bajaj Auto, Cipla, and Dr. Reddy key amongst those.
Vivek, I think you need a 10-minute break after bringing us all of those stocks, but thanks. That is a lot of stocks we are going to watch for all of these in today's trading session, because it could be a lot about these individual names today. But finally, let's also talk about the cues from the futures and options space. Mangalam is here with that. Mangalam, it is the F&O expiry, so important session.
It is the expiry and it is an important session. But for all those who are wondering, that it has been a range-bound, rather volatile, insipid sort of market without much in terms of moves to show for, is doing just January things, because so far this series, The market's down, what, almost 73 odd points. But that's how January has been. I've been looking at data for the last 5 years itself. January 2019 was close to around 51 points. You know, the maximum moves that we've seen on an absolute basis was January 2021, which was down about 164 points, which again was less than 1% in terms of moves. So January usually hasn't moved much. And yesterday's trading session was a microcosm of that. In fact, if you just take a look at it, the Nifty moved between 18,200 and 18,080 for absolutely no gains or losses to show for at the end itself. And that's how it's been over the last 5 trading sessions as well. You know, the average high minus low over the last few trading sessions has been around 80 to 100 odd points. The maximum has been 152 points, which too is less than 1% in terms of a range. So in this narrow range-bound insipid sort of market, there's not much moves to be gained from a trend. However, people are trading at the edges itself. Yesterday, the FIs covered about 4,200 short contracts, and the long shorts at around 58 and 42% respectively. Importantly, in option buying, they've bought almost 53,000 calls. So that opens up the hope for an upside, whereas they've covered some short puts as well. So that's perhaps opening up the way for downside. Just keeping an eye out on a couple of these options. 18,100 and 18,200 calls have seen a fair amount of action. So levels higher than 18,200 may see some resistance. But usually in a range-bound market, people write both call and put. And the premium on the 18,100 call and put, which is a straddle, is about 90 odd points. So, the option writers are hoping for that 18,000 to 18,200 range on the Nifty. On the Nifty Bank, just watch out for the 50-day moving average. That's proving to be a bit of a resistance.
All right, Mangalam, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those cues that we should watch from the futures and options space. But with that, we are going to get into our first short break on the show. When we return, like we told you, Indus Towers has reported a loss of 708 crores in the third quarter, along with a doubtful debt provision against a telco. So we'll